Organizational change expert Paul Meshanko has studied how the human brain responds in various workplace situations, and his conclusion is astonishing. People perform at their highest level when treated with respect. Conversely, when an employee is emotionally attacked by disrespectful behavior, he or she shuts down. He teaches readers how to create positive situations around respect, how to avoid negative behaviors, and how to build a better work environment. He developed 12 rules of respect to demonstrate a way to communicate respectfully in any situation. What is respect? Respect is an active process of positively engaging people from all backgrounds. The genuine pursuit of respect requires effort, takes time, and will likely feel awkward as we push ourselves to engage with people from whom we have historically kept our distance. What this definition does not mean is that all our conversations with others will be pleasant and that difficult situations cannot be discussed. What is the impact of disrespectful behaviors? What is interesting about disrespectful behaviors is that the damage they cause often is not restricted to the direct recipient. When we observe someone treating another person disrespectfully, we make a note of it. The reason these behaviors are so damaging is that the negative emotions that result have the potential to undermine both individual and group productivity. The greater the authority person has in an organization, the more damage he or she can do. While disrespect comes in many forms, it almost always damages performance. The primary reason is that it takes energy to respond and protect ourselves from disrespectful behaviors. The 12 Rules of Respect. Meshanko shares with the reader his 12 rules of respect that make surprisingly good sense. Examples illustrate and explain the dynamics taking place when we interact with people, and the reader is challenged to be curious about the perspectives of others. The 12 rules of respect are coupled with information on behavior change. Rule number 1. Be aware of your nonverbal and extraverbal cues. Language is a tool of nuance, and using the right words to create the desired meaning can be an important skill we learn over the course of our lives. Even more critical than the actual words are the countless verbal and extraverbal cues we employ to deliver the words. 93% of the messaging that occurs between individuals when talking in person transpires through nonverbal and extraverbal cues. It is important to remember that when our nonverbal and extraverbal cues appear to convey a different message from our words, the human brain is programmed to give more credence to the nonverbal. Behaviors such as yelling, rolling our eyes, shaking our head in opposition, reading, saying, avoiding eye contact, frowning, and foot tapping cannot be ignored, no matter how respectful our actual words may be. Rule number 2. Develop curiosity about the perspectives of others. What we often fail to do is explore the perspectives of others, even when they're on similar journeys. Empathy, defined as the ability to understand the emotional position of others, starts with curiosity and is demonstrated through active inquiry. Empathy is demonstrated when it becomes evident to others around us that we are interested in what they think, why they think it, and how they feel about it. Rule number 3. Assume that everyone is smart about something. It is reasonable to assume that other people like to think they are also smart. The only difference is that we are all smart through different histories and life experiences. Respect is increased when people you work with treat you as if you are smart. Rule number 4. Become a better listener by shaking your butt. One word can be used in a way that hinders our ability to show respect, and that word is but. The problem with using the word but when discussing different ideas and perspectives is that it negates whatever came before it. It has the same impact of saying you are wrong. If two people constantly say, yeah, but, in a conversation, little information is being shared and both individuals feel frustrated. If we want to have a productive exchange of ideas in a respectful manner, then it becomes crucial that we demonstrate value for each other's positions. Rule number 5. Look for opportunities to connect with and support others. Even in the heat of conflict, there are ways to connect with people if we want to. When we demonstrate a willingness to move away from our immediate agenda and search for positions of agreement first, it makes working through the actual differences a bit easier. One of the greatest skills we can develop is the ability to use language that lets people know it is safe for them to be themselves in our presence. This requires two things. First, we do not assume everyone is like us, even if they look like us. Second, it is generally okay for people to be their complete selves around us. regardless of the differences between us. Rule number 6. When you disagree, explain why. It is disrespectful when we fail to share our observations and opinions in order to avoid conflict. We have an obligation to be truthful with our perspectives and points of view. We have an obligation to share our perspectives and opinions with others, especially when safety or other important issues are involved. We also have an obligation to be a good listener. Rule number 7. Look for opportunities to grow, stretch, and change. When relationships become strained, or our opinions of others become overly critical, we typically take the position that it is the other person or other people that are doing something wrong. As we develop the desire and willingness to hold ourselves up to the preferred real bright light for an occasional reality check, two things happen. We become infinitely easier to be around because we are less critical of others. Secondly, we grow in wisdom and perspective. That is because we start considering that in situations where we might initially view others critically, the problems may be ours to deal with and not theirs. Rule number 8. Learn to be wrong on occasion. While unintentional, a mindset of certainty can also set the stage for a potentially disrespectful treatment of others, especially toward those who do not share our closely held beliefs. Being willing to consider other points of view, even when we know we are right, is a significant demonstration of respect for others. Rule number 9. Never hesitate to say you are sorry. Meshanko states, "If I had a nickel for every time I said I am sorry, I would be rich. If I had a nickel for every time I should have said I am sorry, I'd be retired." It is often when we are at our worst that our actions are most memorable to others. Disrespectful behaviors that harm us are immediately sent to long-term memory where they are stored for future reference. Publicly admitting that we behave poorly and express remorse for our actions display vulnerability and humanness that make us more effective leaders. Rule number 10. Intentionally engage others in ways that build their self-esteem. We have all met people who have the ability to make us feel special. It is usually the result of many small things they do. Building esteem in people we work with or for requires a shift in focus away from what we need to what others need. If you are in a leadership position and are not a people person, you may become a liability to your organization. And if you are not willing to make effort to become a people person, you should not be in a position of leadership. If you are in a leadership position at any level within an organization, your number one job is to try to increase the capability and capacity of those who report to you. Rule number 11. Be respectful of time when making comments. One of the most sincere forms of respect is actively listening to what another has to say. If we do not become curious or have value for what other people have to say, it is difficult to consistently fake the behaviors that demonstrate interest. Rule number 12. Smile. A smile is a universal nonverbal cue that our intentions are friendly. Extensive research shows that smiling shifts the mindset of the person displaying it. When it comes to respect, both giving and receiving smiles are important. One word of caution: if you're not the type of person who has developed the reputation for smiling, be patient with it. The brain tends to become suspicious when it detects abnormal behavior patterns from people we already know. Now let us take a look at the 12 rules of respect one more time, so that we can commit them to memory. Rule number 1. Be aware of your nonverbal and extraverbal cues. Rule number 2. Develop curiosity about the perspectives of others. Rule number 3. Assume that everyone is smart about something. Rule number 4. Become a better listener by shaking your butt. Rule number 5. Look for opportunities to connect with and support others. Rule number 6. When you disagree, explain why. Rule number 7. Look for opportunities to grow, stretch, and change. Rule number 8. Learn to be wrong on occasion. Rule number 9. Never hesitate to say you are sorry. Rule number 10. Intentionally engage others in ways that build their self-esteem. Rule number 11. Be respectful of time when making comments. Rule number 12. Smile. Meshanko argues that it is almost impossible to treat other people with respect on a consistent basis unless we respect ourselves first. The commitment to pursue respect for all employees is, by default, a commitment to build a workplace environment in which employees are truly seen as invaluable assets to their organization. Companies must be precise with the exact behaviors they want to see. Meshanko argues that without respect on the inside of your organization, consistent respect on the outside of your organization simply is not sustainable. Meshanko emphasizes that respect does not mean always agreeing with others. On the contrary, respectful organizations not only encourage but require the healthy exchange of different ideas. How we engage others leaves a lasting impression. The question to ask ourselves is, how do we want to be remembered? More importantly, what are we willing to do to start responsibly building our legacy of respect today?